Here we go, algebra students. We are still in the simplifying algebraic expressions unit. We're looking at combining like terms. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at the vocabulary dealing with like terms, constants, coefficients. Now it's time to take a look at some of the examples dealing with like terms. Reminder, pause the video, write some things down. If anything is unclear, make sure that you ask your teacher. These are all three examples that we're going to put in our foldable for like terms. Again, pause the video, copy these down, and then I'll go through and explain them. In our first example, example L, we're going to first go through and change all of those subtraction pieces, all those subtraction signs, into add the opposite. So the first number stays the same. It's the number after that new addition that gets changed. So this becomes add a negative 11y. Now we're going to look at the terms. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my highlighter. I'm just going to highlight each of the separate terms. We talked about terms being a number, just a variable, or a number times a variable. So in this case we have four terms, and the terms are 9y. We're going to separate them with the comma, negative 4, negative 11y, and 7. Those are the four terms. Now we're going to separate our like terms. So what we're going to do is take those terms and we're just going to group them by looking at which things are like. I'm going to put a little bracket symbol to show the separate groups. All of these with a y in them are going into one group. So the 9y and the negative 11y are one group. The other group is the negative 4 and the 7. Those actually have a special name. Those are called constants because they don't have any variables with them. So I'm going to take that negative 4 and 7 and write those down here in our constants row. Next in our list we had coefficients. Remember, our coefficients are the number that's in front of a variable. So in this case we have two coefficients. We have 9 and negative 11 are our two coefficients. Those are the numbers that are multiplied by our variable, which is y. Our last step here is to simplify. So we're going to look at simplifying this expression. To simplify, we put together those like terms. So our like terms, if we look at our groups, we had negative 11y and 9. So we add those coefficients to get negative 2y. Always separate your terms with a plus sign. So in this case we have two groups, so we're going to have one plus sign in between those. And now we need to put the rest of those together. So we're putting together our constants. In our constant group we had negative 4 and 7. When we add those together we get a positive 3. So our simplified expression is negative 2y plus 3. In example K, we're going to do the same thing, just some different numbers and terms that we're looking at. First step we're going to do is we're going to change all of that subtraction to add the opposite. So there we go. So I changed the subtraction to add the opposite with the negative 3 here. And I also did the same with the g. It was a minus g, so I changed it to plus a negative g. Notice this g is kind of missing something. We're missing a number in front of it. So again, like we said with the vocab, when you have just a variable by itself, we need a coefficient there. So we're going to put that 1 in front of the g. So this actually is a negative 1g. That's our term. I'm going to go through with my highlighter now again, and I'm going to highlight each of those terms. So we've got our 12g is one term, negative 3 is another term, 11 is a term, and negative 1g is our last term. So as we write our terms, I'm going to separate those with a comma. So we've got 12g, negative 3, 11, and negative 1g. Those are our four terms. When we look at our groups, This is where we're sorting. We're going to put all of those g's together. 12g and negative 1g. Those are a group. Our negative 3 and our 11, those are another group. Again, those negative 3 and 11, since they don't have variables, those go down here in our constant group. Looking at our like terms groups, we have this 12g and this negative 1g. The 12 and the negative 1 are our coefficients. Okay? Since those are our coefficients, those are the parts that we add when we do the simplify step. So in our simplify step, we have 11g. We get that from the 12g plus the negative 1g. Plus, we always separate our terms with an addition sign. Now we're going to add our constants, or add our constants from this group. Negative 3 plus 11 is 8. So there's our simplified expression. In our next example, example T, you saved some money. Your friend has saved $50 less than you. Write an expression in simplest form that represents the total amount of money that you and your friend saved. So we don't know the amount of money that you saved, so that's going to be our variable. I'm going to put an M in there. You saved M money. Your friend has saved $50 less than you. Since your amount was M, I'm going to put M equals money you saved. Okay, since we don't know, I'm going to get a different color here. Your friend was 50 less than you. Your amount was M, so your friend was 50 less than you, so 50 less than M. To write 50 less than M, M minus 50. Okay? Write an expression in simplest form that represents the total for you and your friend. So what we want to do is take your friend plus you. We want to add those two together. So your friend, we said, was M minus 50 plus your money was M. Now, like we said earlier, if there's a missing coefficient, we need to fill it in with a 1. This is not in simplest form because we have two variables here that are like terms. We have a 1m and a 1m. We can combine those like terms to get 2m, and then we can either write it as plus a negative 50 or 2m minus 50. Now it's in simplest form. So again, rewind the tape, watch it again as many times as you need to, and ask your teacher for any additional help.